It is now 10 o'clock on November the 8th. The SSDAC committee is hereby called to order. Jason?
You call
Oh, do we need to do a roll call first?
Yes.
Okay, what's the roll call? David Dumas,
Present.
present. Todd Harden,
Present.
Murphy Martin. Murphy is not here. Commissioner Hawk. Commissioner Hawk is not here. And Carolyn Cookie is here. So we do have a quorum today. We also have with us Jason, sign representative, and his boss. Okay, Jason, you want to take it?
Thank you.
And we do have extra people here in the audience. We'll let you introduce them as we get to the point where we have representative input.
Very good. Be our signed certificate of appropriateness cases. We have 3. The first is 221-017-0015. It's an application for a certificate of appropriateness by Paul Santoyo of Arctic Graphics for a 147.5 square foot attached sign at 409 North Houston. It's on the west elevation. Close the store real quick. The sign is located in the West End Historic Sign District. The zoning is CA1 with an H2 overlay. The proposed sign is considered an upper level flat attached sign on a type B facade. All applicable code has been met for the West End Historic Sign District. The Office of Historic Preservation issued CA 223005 LVO for the sign in October of this year on behalf of the Historic District. This is the purpose of the district. It's 51A 7.1002 to regulate the construction of new signage and alterations made to existing signage with a view towards preserving the historic nature of its district, and to ensure that new signage is of appropriate historical design and does not visually obscure significant architectural features of a building or the district in general. And here is the location of the site. It's located within the inner loop in the downtown area. The site is approximately 3/4 of a mile northwest of City Hall, just east of North Stemmons and south of Woodall Rogers. Here is the location of the sign district within the city. You can see it's in the West End. And here is the location. Sorry about that. Here's the location of the subject site within the sign district. It's located along the western edge of the West End Historic District. The sign district adjoins the Victory Sign District to the north, and the Downtown Special Provision Sign District with each of its sub-districts in all remaining directions. Here is the aerial map on the left and the zoning map on the right. And a chart showing the surrounding uses. Directly to the north is parking. Across the street to the east is a multifamily. To the southeast is a museum. It's the Holocaust Museum. To the south is office, and beyond that is parking. Here is an applicant provided location map. This exhibit is to demonstrate the visibility of the sign in relation to the historic district. You can see that this sign located on that west facade does not face the historic district or is even visible from within the historic district. Here are location photos also provided by the applicant. This one is facing north on North Stemmons. This is facing south on North Stemmons. And southeast on Woodall Rogers. Here is a sign elevation. The sign occupies about 1.1% of the Type B facade. You can see the photo there on the bottom right that shows that windows comprise about 17.5% of the total facade area, which makes this a Type B facade. Here are the size details. And the construction details. You can see there's several options for attachment. The lighting that they're proposing, and a cutaway view there on the right. You can see it's all aluminum.
Okay, Jason, go back 1 second, please. Okay, so the channel letters themselves are painted white. That's something I couldn't read in this one.
Yeah.
These are just too weak to.
Yes, the returns will be white as well as the faces, and they extend approximately 4 inches from the facade, which is what the ordinance specifies. And here is the subject site. It's difficult to get a good view based on how that's set up. Most of that's fenced off and I couldn't get in there. So on the left is one from on site the other day when I was out there. On the right is actually taken from Google, but both are current and accurate. You can see the parking garage below and then the office space above. And again, this is the west facade. Here are some of the other facades, the east facade and the north facade. You can see the mural on the north facade and then also the Corrigan sign on both elevations. And this is looking south on North Houston on the left and north on North Houston on the right. On the right is a little further away. The actual building is down here. And east and west on Ross. Here are some of the signs relatively close around the district. The Corrigan sign I pointed out earlier. The Ross Avenue sign there on the parking garage. It's a painted applied sign. Sorry, my mouse got quick there. These are some non-conforming channel letters on one of the buildings next door. And the museum store on the left, I actually got to make that sign. And then the painted applied sign there for the Higginbotham Pearl Stone. Here is Wild Bill's with their signs and also some neon for the Sonny Bryant's barbecue. And staff recommends approval.
Okay, discussion.
We do have Steve Benson and Paul Santoyo here from Art Graphics.
Okay. Do you guys have anything you want to say regarding the sign? Sorry, I'm losing my voice.
I've got one thing that has altered, doesn't alter the sign. The sign's exactly the same, but the light we're gonna use, planning on using on this is less visible than what you just showed, that turnaround hook like that. There's a thin, it's gonna have the same attachment, painted out attachment and all that, but it's gonna be a thin line that goes on there. It's about 1.25 by 1.25 with the LED on that. So we'll flood the wall rather than spot unevenly on that. It's the same lighting element. It's made by Sloan. It's the same brand. It's just different. And that didn't make it in this, but we were messing around with lights and we just found that it doesn't light that brown wall well enough on the test that we did. So we're going to go with the same attachment, but it's just going to have a light going across, or a thin LED light going across, so that it has a casing. It'll be not visible. So it's just going to wash the wall the same way as the proposed lights do. It's just, it's going to be a smaller, there's not going to be a fixture on each of those rods coming out.
Okay. Any other comments?
Yeah, the sign itself is the same.
David, Todd, do you guys have any questions or comments?
Seems pretty straightforward. Is
That
the
right there, yeah.
the lighting going to be down washing or up washing?
Yes, Yes, it's gonna be down washing. It'll have a straight down one that, because it's only 4 inches off because we can't go out very far. It has two fixtures in it. One is a 45 and one is a straight down to capture the whole wall. And it will stop right at the light, the window, top of the window trim there. It'll stop right at that. So it catches that whole 6 foot wall fascia that's there.
Okay.
Just as a point of clarification, any changes in the lighting, which this is different from what Landmark approved, will need to go back to Landmark. So
That's fine.
And more than likely, it's a staff approval, but it will need to go back.
That's fine. We just found a better product than what that was right there in the meantime, waiting for the meetings and all that. But I can spec to the Landmark.
The drawings and stuff would have to be amended to reflect the different lighting, Jason, is that?
Being that this is a non-illuminated sign, the lighting is really not a factor. They would have to get a separate permit for that regardless.
Okay,
So it's just.
so that's not a showstopper or anything?
Right,
Okay. Any other questions, David, Todd?
No.
Okay. And if there are no further questions, does someone have a motion?
This is Todd. I'll motion to approve.
Okay, Todd
David, I'll
motions to
second.
approve. David raised his hand for a second. Okay, we'll have to do a roll call vote since we're virtually and we're hybrid today. Okay, David, your vote
In favor.
in favor, Todd,
In favor.
and the chair votes in favor. So that one passes. Please be sure I sign the right one.
Oh. We already have the Landmark Commission for the second light when we did the revision on this.
So that one's accurate.
They've already.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
So this right here was before.
that lighting would be in the report then with the Landmark CA that was in there.
He's got a copy of it right
Good. So that doesn't slow them down then on going to CBC.
Right.
Or does this one, yeah, this one does require CBC.
If you could update those
Sure.
for CPC.
Jason, I
Yes,
I
sir.
did notice in the report you sent, I believe on the first page, it said farmer's market.
That's been updated.
Okay, perfect.
If you click the link in the agenda, it will say West End Historic Sign District.
Okay. Yeah, it was just that one spot. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for catching that.
The next item is application number 221-01-70016. It's an application for a certificate of appropriateness by Bobby Nichols of Chandler Signs for a 90.6 square foot detached monument sign at 2500 Pacific Street on the Jetway frontage. This is in the downtown special provision sign district within the perimeter sub-district. The zoning for this site is CA1 and PD 269 Tract B. The proposed sign is considered a monument sign. It is to be the only detached sign on the site at this time. All applicable code has been met according to 51A 7.304, which is the business zoning districts for detached signs. The proposed sign will be in both the downtown and Deep Ellum sign districts with the downtown provisions being more restrictive. So we will go by the downtown. This sign actually splits the line. I didn't know how that would work, but it actually sits on the line between the two districts. So we will go with the more restrictive, which is the business zoning restrictions. This is the purpose from the downtown sign district from 51A 7.902. It's to regulate signs to enhance, preserve, and develop the unique character of the downtown while addressing the diversity of the business and promoting its economy. It includes aesthetic considerations to ensure signs are appropriate to the architecture of the district and do not obscure its significant features and lend themselves to the developing retail and residential uses and the pedestrian character of the area. It is inspired by the need to maximize effective orientation of signs toward the high level of walking public. And here's the location of the site, located just outside the inner loop of downtown. The site's approximately 3/4 of a mile northeast from City Hall, just east of I-345 and north of I-30. Here is the location of the sign district within the city. You can see it's right there where Deep Ellum and the downtown districts meet. Here is the location within the SBSDs. It is located within 2 special provision sign districts. The proposed sign is to sit on the line between the 2 sign districts, between the downtown sign district on the north and the Deep Ellum Near East Side sign district on the south. And here's the aerial and zoning maps. Here are the surrounding uses. This is a mixed-use development. To the east are also mixed-use developments. To the southeast would be an animal clinic and some office uses as well as some parking. To the north, office and there's a fitness center and parking. To the northwest is an undeveloped site and some mixed use across I-345. Here is the sign location map. It is proposed to be along Jetway. The proposed setback is to be 8 foot 2 inches. Based on the setback, this sign's allowed up to 92.68 square feet and 58 feet in height. Here is the elevation for the sign. It's to be installed on an existing barrier. Sorry, I've got some lag there. Here are the sign details. Again, the sign's 90.6 square feet. They are black, non-lit or non-backlit channel letters, all metal, all black, and they're to be installed on this barrier. And here are the engineering details. It shows the mat or the plate to be installed in the barrier and the anchor types. Here's the subject site. You can see the barrier there from Jetway, and I try to get good photos of both sides of that barrier. And here are the surrounding areas. This is looking east and west on Pacific. And east and west on Elm. And then north and south on Jet. And that street is very crowded. So it was difficult to get pictures, and they were doing dumpster retrieval whenever I was there. So here are some signs around the district, other detached signs. There's the 3-sided Sherwin-Williams pole sign off of Good Latimer, the Oak and Elm, which that project went through earlier this year. That sign was not a part of it because it met the setback requirements, but it is the same detached type sign. Here's the Tom Thumb off of Live Oak, and also the Dallas Tattoo and Arts Company off of Live Oak. We've got a monument and a non-monument sign. This Republic sign is off of Ross. I believe all of those signs would probably be non-conforming now. A little monument sign on the other side of Woodall Rogers. And then a monument sign for the Primrose School and another monument sign for Fearing's Restaurant. And staff recommends approval. We do have Matt Wilson with Chandler Signs here as a speaker. And I guess any questions?
Guys, do y'all have any questions?
Go back to that first street view. Back one.
This one?
Go down one more. Your next slide.
Oops, I went.
Is that the same view? Okay.
Oh, you know what it is, isn't it?
It looks like the
Yeah,
same picture twice.
I'll have to update that.
Good catch.
Otherwise, I don't have any questions.
Yeah, thank you.
Did the applicant have anything that they wanted to say?
Matt Wilson with Chandler Signs, just as Jason said, to reiterate, would fall within the height and square footage requirements. This sign is located near the entry for pedestrian viewing, and it's mounted on that concrete barrier. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer. Thank you for your consideration.
Jason, go back to where the barrier was. I think it was one or two slides ahead of this one. Yeah, right there. Okay, it mounts on that sort of flat area back there, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, because in one of the pictures, I couldn't tell where the barriers, it looks like these are lighted barriers too, which is gonna help. But I couldn't tell because in one of the pictures, it looked like there were barriers in front and behind the sign. And I think that was just my visual perception.
Yeah, just one barrier. I think there are intentions to saw cut into that to put some uplighting on the sign to light up the black of the sign. But again, that's not part of this scope. Like we're
Does
also
that
looking
have
at the sign
some
itself.
sort of approval if the lighting is added at a later date?
No, we're just permitting the sign itself.
Okay.
There is currently lighting underneath that concrete barrier as well as accent.
Oh, there is.
landscape
Okay,
lighting.
great. Okay,
That concrete barrier flanks both sides on the entry.
okay. Any other questions? Jean?
No, ma'am.
If no other questions, do we have a motion?
This is David. I motion to approve.
Okay, motion by David. Todd, do you second?
This is Todd. I'll
Okay.
second.
Todd is seconding. Okay, we'll do our little roll call vote. David, your vote
Favor?
in favor? Todd?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. So it passes.
Murphy's in favor.
Oh, Murphy joined us. I'm
Camera
sorry,
Murphy.
Murphy, I didn't see you.
I'm sorry.
Thank
I thought
you for
you knew
joining us.
I was. I apologize. I ended up getting some dental work today. Then it took a lot longer than I thought.
No, that's great. We figured you hadn't joined us yet and I didn't see you up there. I apologize for not catching that.
Doesn't he have to
Okay.
Turn on his camera.
They won't let me have a camera
Yeah,
anymore.
you need to turn the camera on so we can count you as present, Murphy. We have to look at your mug shot.
I got a swole mouth.
Different,
Okay.
See you up yet. All right, the next application, the next item is application number 21-0170-018. It's an application for a certificate of appropriateness by Bobby Nichols of Chandler Signs, Inc. for a 109 square foot illuminated attached sign at 2700 Commerce Street. It is on the west elevation. This is the Deep Ellum Near East Side Sign District, zoned PD number 269, tract A. And all applicable code sections have been met. The proposed attached sign is the fourth sign on the subject site and third on this facade. All have been approved under committee review, the latest being the two signs for Worldwide Express in August of this year. And the purpose of this district from 51A 7.1302 is to promote signs that are compatible with the architectural character and design guidelines of the Deep Ellum Near East Side Plan Development District, and encourage artistic, creative, and innovative signs which are reflective of the themes that have grown and developed in the Deep Ellum area. Here's the location of the subject site. It is, again, outside of the inner loop for downtown, and the site is approximately 1 mile northeast of City Hall, east of I-345, and north of Highway 30, or I-30. And the location of the sign district. And here is the location of the site within the sign district. You can see the downtown and the farmer's market border this district to the south, and to the northwest, the downtown perimeter. Here's an aerial map and the zoning map. Here are some of the surrounding uses. The bulk of the uses surrounding to the northeast east, and west are restaurant uses. This building itself is a mixed-use development, mainly office with restaurant and retail on the bottom and parking as well. There is a commercial amusement behind it as well as an office development. And if you go to Canton, there's the Adam Hatz building, which is multifamily. Here's the sign location. You can see the A on the west elevation facing Henry. The primary visibility of this sign is to be from the west or facing east and from I-345. Here is the sign elevation. The Worldwide Express sign has not been installed yet, but it is digitally there for comparison. And again, it is to be on the west facade. Here is the details for the elevation itself. This sign is well above 65 feet in the air. Here are the sign details. These are backlit channel letters with white faces and multicolored vinyl graphics. The returns are to match the building itself. And the mounting details, these are flex face letters. I don't know if I said plastic there, but they're actually flex face. They'll have an extrusion system made by SignComp for the faces themselves, and they will be through bolted into the studs. And here's the subject site. This is looking at the building from Commerce, and then showing the other elevations on the right, the elevation facing south and the elevation facing east. Here are some of the site photos. This is east and west on Commerce, and south and north on Henry. This is north on I-345 and east. And here's some of the signs around the district, the Deep Ellum District identification sign there, along with the Freeman blade signs, as well as some painted applied signs. Here is the Revolver Taco set of channel letters, which went through in September. And the Case building is the first of the signs that I have in this presentation that are located above 65 feet as comparison. It's a metal face cabinet. And then we have the Crosby, which is a painted applied sign, and 333 First, which is a metal cabinet with channel letters on top that are open face with neon lighting. And then we have the Ambrose and Public Storage. And staff recommends approval. We do have Matt Wilson here with Chandler, again, for this sign, representing it as a speaker.
All right, Matt Wilson, Chandler Signs. Just to reiterate what Jason said, we fall within the square footage requirements. We do have building owner support. These are Panaflex lighted letters to create a bleed edge so we can take the colors all the way to the edge of the letters. That's the reason for the Panaflex faces at that size. And they are LED illuminated on the west facade, and be happy to answer any questions. Thank you for your consideration.
Okay. Any questions or comments?
This is a white face with white LEDs and then vinyl film for the colors. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's the only question I had.
Can we go back to the image showing the sign on the building? Is it the full height from the top of the window to the top of the parapet?
Yeah, the full height is 7'2", and the proposed height of the lettering is 6'6".
6'6", so there is a little border around it then.
Mhm.
Correct.
Any other questions? There are no other questions. Do we have a motion then?
Sure. This is Todd. I'll motion to approve.
Okay, Todd moves to approve, and I will second. Okay, let's go through our little roll call. David?
In favor.
Okay, he raised his hand in favor. Okay, Todd?
In favor.
Murphy, turn your camera on so we can count you present for this vote.
Can you see me?
No, we can't see you. We can hear you, but we can't see you.
Well, I'm having some tech. Does that work?
Yeah, we can see you. Okay, your vote now?
Hey, ho. Yeah, I'll approve.
Okay. Okay, and chair approves, so it's unanimous.
All right, give me 1 minute while I pull up this next presentation. Thank you, Jason. Up, CBC.
Y'all have a great day.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
All right, the final item on the agenda is SPSD 212001. Here's an overview of the presentation. SPSD 212001 is an application to expand and create a new subdistrict within the McKinney Avenue Sign District on property within the McKinney Avenue Sign District and the Uptown Sign District Zone Plan Development, District Number PD 193, Subdistrict 160. That seems to be a theme of splitting things in this meeting. The zoning was last amended in March 2021 to allow for a 29-story office use with retail and restaurant uses on the ground floor. The request site is approximately 2 acres located on the southwest corner of Fairmont Street and McKinney Avenue, bound by the Plan Development District Number 9 on the northwest, Fairmont Street on the northeast, McKinney Avenue on the southeast, and Maple Avenue on the southwest. The site currently contains.
Jason, I'm going to stop you right there temporarily. I'm going to have to recuse from this case. So I'm going to mute and then stop video, I think is.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Todd. And how do we notify Todd to, well, he can mute, and then we've got to get him back for approval of the calendar in a little bit too.
I'll shoot him a message.
Okay, thank you.
Chat.
Okay, thanks.
I guess he does need to stay present.
Yes. All right, let the record reflect Todd recused himself. The site is currently contains single-story uses for a restaurant and what was formerly a gym or a personal service use. Here is the subject site, and you can see it's currently overlaid by the 2 special provision sign districts, the Uptown Sign District on the southwest portion of the subject site, and then the McKinney Avenue Sign District within the Spine Subdistrict on the northeast portion. And I've got in there the other sign or sub-districts for the McKinney Avenue in different colors, just for reference. The Uptown Sign District was created on August 26, 1987, and was last amended in April 1991. This is from 51A 7.110. The purpose of the Uptown Sign District is to enhance, preserve, and develop the character of this district, ensure signs are appropriate to the architecture, do not obscure architectural features, and lend to the developing character of the area. Also to remain consistent with those in 51A 7.101, which is the main sign ordinance. The McKinney Avenue Sign District was created on December 11th, 1991. It was last amended in April of 2019. This is from 51A 7.1500. The purpose of the McKinney Avenue Sign District is to protect the historical and architectural character of the district from inappropriate signs in terms of number, in reference to clutter, style, color, and materials, to ensure that significant architectural features are not obscured, to encourage signs complementary to architectural styles and historical nature of the buildings and trolley in the district, to ensure signs and orientation, ensure size and orientation of signs are toward the high number of pedestrians in this district, attract the public to the goods and services in the district by enhancing the aesthetic quality of signs in the district, encourage artistic, creative, and innovative signs that reflect the themes of the area, and to remain consistent with those listed in 51A.101. The McKinney Avenue Sign District is divided into 3 sub-districts. We have the peripheral, the quadrangle, and the spine sub-district. In general, the McKinney Avenue Special Provision Sign Districts, including the sub-districts, as well as the uptown, have more limitations on size, material, color, and the location of signs. And the purpose of this request is create a new sub-district within the McKinney Avenue Sign District known as the Maple Sub-District, with these objectives: to consolidate the sign provisions for the subject site, to allow an additional use for plastic faces, to allow additional projection and locations for flat attached signs, to define and provide for the use of blade signs, to allow larger monument signs with conditions, and to define and provide for window art displays. Here's the location of the SBSDs for this request. And the location map of the subject site within the 2 SBSDs, again, surrounded completely by SBSDs. This map shows the base zoning for the surrounding area. You can see in green, those are business zoning districts. Part of that is within the downtown SBSD. There's also non-business in orange, which is part of that is also in the downtown SBSD. The rest for business and non-business, there are no SBSD overlays. You've got the Arts District and Arts District Extension to the southeast, the Victory to the southwest, and then West Village to the north. Here is the aerial map as well as the zoning map. Here is a map showing the high rises in the district. The red indicates one that were constructed prior to these SBSDs being put in place, and the yellow indicates high rises that were constructed after these SBSDs came into play. The closest of these high rises to this particular site, which I'll go into later, are the Saline and the Gables McKinney. All of these are indicating buildings that are more than 6 floors in height. And when completed, this high rise for the subject site will be the tallest of any of these buildings at 417 feet and 29 stories. Here are the conditions to go into those. The first is for all signs within the district. I've got a comparison table showing the base zoning, the uptown requirements, the McKinney Avenue spine, and the McKinney Avenue new Maple subdistrict. It tends to pattern itself after the spine district with a few exceptions. In 51A 7.1506B1D, it allows for an additional use of plastic when applied to individual channel letters, provided trim cap is not used. And then in 51A 7.1506C1, it removes the type of lighting source restrictions from this sub-district. And these provisions are intended to address effective lighting for signs mounted on glass facades, being that this building is primarily glass. Advances in lighting technology, mainly LED, and to allow for the utilization of modern yet still appropriate high-end sign making techniques. Here are the actual conditions and the wording. So I've highlighted and underlined them. Plastic would be allowed in this sub-district when used as the exterior face of individual channel letters in the Maple Subdistrict where channel letters are either trim capless or use metal fabricated retainers. Trim cap flat plastic faces are prohibited. And then for the lighting, you can see the types of lighting that are allowed, which is cold cathode, neon, and incandescent. Those are almost obsolete now. They're kind of specialty items, and there are LED replacements out that are just as effective. So that's one of the reasons for looking at this. And in the Maple Subdistrict, those lighting restrictions don't apply. Here are some photos of some types of signs. This particular requirement was kind of geared towards sign cabinets, plastic face sign cabinets. The sign on the right would be a sign that would be allowed under the current provisions and is preferred in the McKinney Avenue sign district. It's a metal face cabinet. Those letters do have a slight push through and plastic for the actual graphics themselves, but the background would not light up. On the left, the top cabinet is just a flat plastic face cabinet. On the bottom left is a pan face cabinet, which was popular at the time this ordinance went into effect. It allowed for fluorescent lighting and a thin cabinet. That face being panned out or extruded or expanded didn't require as much metal, and the plastic would account for some of that thickness. But generally, signs lit with fluorescent lighting either need something to hide those hot spots or give it enough depth that that light has enough time to dissipate, so it's an even lighting over the face. And many of these requirements are geared towards prohibiting these types of signs. These are some typical channel letters with trim cap. You can see on the left, it is a backlit channel letter on a raceway. Sorry, slipped my mind. If you look, just to point out, this is probably one of the reasons why trim cap is not an ideal solution in this district. You can see it's starting to degrade. Most of these letters, when done this way, a more economical way to do them is to mount them on a raceway, which allows all your wiring to go there. With the projection that's currently required by the district, most of these are looking for a flush mount type of application. And here's some other channel letters from the Deep Ellum district when I was over there, but you can see the screw there in the bottom, and that's how those are held on. These are some more modern channel letter techniques. On the left is a simulated open face channel letter. It does have a metal face, and that is routed plastic to simulate the look of neon. Here is a retainer letter. You can see the metal retainers and a plastic face. These halo lit letters here on the bottom, those would be currently allowed by code. In the report, I kind of discussed some of the obstacles to lighting something like that on a glass facade. The Jenny sign here is incandescent open face channel letters, but those are actually LED. And then an excerpt from the Flora Loft, which is a trim capless letter, which is both plastic face and reverse lit. You can see the back plate behind it, and that allows the light to reflect off of it. The next condition is over attached signs in general. And basically 51A 7.1507A1 allows for flat attached signs to be placed on any upper level facade. McKinney Avenue only allows signs to be placed on facades adjacent to the right-of-way. 51A7.1507A2 limits these signs on an upper level facade below 14 stories to 2 signs. So any sign or any facade with signs located in the upper level that are below 14 feet, there's only 2 signs in that area. Above that area, there's no limit on number. Below that upper level, there's no limit on number of signs. But in between the top of the lower level, which is at 36 feet, and 14 stories, there would only be allowed 2 signs. These provisions are intended to address signs intended to be viewed from a distance and to accommodate the multifamily high rises in proximity to the subject site. Here are the actual restrictions or provisions. Basically, no attached sign may be erected on a facade unless it faces a public right-of-way that's adjacent to the lot where the sign is proposed to be located, except that flat attached signs may be located on any upper facade within the Maple subdistrict. And in the Maple subdistrict, flat attached signs on upper facades located below the 14th floor are limited to 2 per facade. The applicant provided this drawing of the building to kind of show sign locations. I added that line that shows the approximate area at the 14th floor. Basically, anywhere in blue is where they anticipate putting signs. Based on this ordinance, that area within, again, the top of the lower facade and that 14th floor, there would be limited to 2 signs. Above that, they can do as many signs as they felt were needed. And again, that's mainly to accommodate these 2 buildings here. The Saline to the northwest, being 14 stories, was recently built in 2001. It is a multifamily building. And then the Gables McKinney, so that's actually backwards. The Chateau Plaza is where the Gables McKinney is. The Gables is about 150 feet from the subject site, and the Chateau Plaza is an office development, so it wouldn't necessarily trigger anybody living there. And then the Saline is 375 feet from the subject site. The next condition is for flat attached signs. Under the McKinney Avenue provisions, flat attached signs are limited to an 8-inch projection. There is no restriction on number. Again, a big.
Excuse me, you said 8-inch, but you're saying 18 on the.
Right. Yes, under the spot regulation, the current regulations,
Okay.
it's limited to 8-inch. That's mainly to account for those channel letters being mounted on raceways and those cabinets that require additional depth. In this sub-district, they are asking for an 18-inch projection from the building. And these are intended to address obsolete construction methods and signs intended to be viewed from a distance on glass facades. One of the few ways to mount signs on a glass facade is the use of a frame. That can require additional depth. Also at distance, the additional projection helps with readability. And here are the actual provisions. No flat attached sign may project more than 8 inches from a building, except in the Maple sub-district. Flat attached signs may project up to 18 inches from the building or from a building. Here are some examples of flat attached signs. These are from the Uptown. These are located directly southwest of this site. You can see the Capitol Grill. Those are halo lit letters on a back plate, which was one of the methods that you would have to use for glass based on the reflectivity of the glass. And then also the Crab House there on the right. Those would be plastic face backlit letters that are also halo lit. And those would, I believe this sign is non-conforming currently. The next conditions pertain to projecting signs. Basically, under the McKinney Avenue spine sub-district, they must be below 36 feet. They're at maximum 8 square feet if located below the bottom of the 14th, or if located below the bottom of the second floor, and 15 square feet if above. And the max projection is 4 feet. What this SPSD, or this new sub-district, would be providing is that it would restrict the use of projecting signs when blade signs are located on the same site. Basically, the McKinney Avenue, and I believe I have this in the next slide, but the McKinney Avenue spine district and the McKinney Avenue as a whole does not list blade signs as a type of sign. They call them projecting, and it is defined as a sign projecting 18 inches or more from the building. It doesn't say which direction it projects from. And basically, in the next section, they're proposing blade signs as opposed to projecting signs. And what this provision says is that blade signs cannot be located in the same location as a projecting sign. These blade signs will be a little larger. And like I said, this provision is intended to distinguish projecting signs and blade signs. It also limits the use of projecting signs on the same facade as a blade sign. Both of these signs under current conditions would be considered projecting signs. The Sylvan sign projects approximately 24 inches from the building. And then what we would think of as a traditional blade sign on the left, that would also be a projecting sign. So there isn't a delineation between which way the sign faces. So projecting signs can also be canopy signs. Under the spine provisions, they allow them to be mounted to arcades, which the way this ordinance looks at it would be a canopy. So basically just any direction from the building itself, if it exceeds 18 inches, it's considered a projecting sign. Hopefully that makes sense. Maybe with the blade sign conditions, it'll clear it up a little bit. So the blade sign conditions, basically they are going to increase a projecting sign to 20 square feet, which is the same as base zoning, and a maximum 4-foot projection. These signs must be located in the lower level facade, and they require 25-foot minimum spacing. They're also limited to the Fairmount facade. 51A 7.1504 A2 and 1507E define and provide for the blade signs. Again, the blade signs are like projecting signs in this district, but must have multiple faces and messages that are perpendicular to the facade. And the provision is intended to further distinguish projecting signs and blade signs and allow for larger projecting signs on the Fairmount facade that would more accurately be considered blade type signs. These are to provide visibility for tenants in areas of increased density. Here are the actual provisions. Blade sign means any multi-faced attached sign in the Maple sub-district containing messages that are perpendicular to the building facade. Blade signs may only be located on a facade facing Fairmount Street, may not exceed 20 square feet in effective area, may not be lower than 12 feet above grade or outside of the lower facade, may not, I think that's supposed to be
more.
yeah, may not be more than 4 feet from the facade or above a roof of a building, and must maintain a minimum of 25-foot horizontal separation from all other blade signs. Here are some typical blade signs. We've got the twisted root from Deep Ellum, and then there's the pot belly, which is actually in the Uptown SPSD across the street. You can see those are open face neon illuminated channel letters, just to give a point of reference. And the final condition, or excuse me, the next to last condition is for detached signs. 51A 7.1508F provide for detached signs to be consistent with that of base zoning, with a restriction that these signs be monument signs not to exceed 6 feet in height and an allowance in the reduction of an allowance, and an allowance for a reduction of 25 feet in separation. Under base zoning requirements, all detached signs on a premise are required to be 25 feet apart, 200 feet apart. This provision allows them to be 175 feet apart. This provision is intended to allow for larger detached signs more consistent with base zoning and the quadrangle subdistrict. The quadrangle subdistrict allows up to 150 square feet for a sign like this, and it provides an allowance for areas of increased density. Here are the actual conditions. In the Maple subdistrict, one detached sign is allowed per street frontage, which will amount for 3, being that there's 3 street frontages, and each monument must maintain a minimum separation of 175 feet from other monument signs and not exceed 125 square feet in effective area or 6 feet in height. And the 125 square feet is consistent with business zoning district rules for multi-tenant monument signs. And on the left is 3131 McKinney, which is probably similar to something that would be for this site, although much larger. This sign under current conditions, it's 20 square feet. And then I believe this McKinney and Olive sign, which is further to the southwest in the downtown special provision sign district, was mentioned as a type of prototype. And the final condition is window art displays. 51A 7.1504A13 and 51A 7.1507H define and provide for window art displays. These are limited to ground floor of Fairmount Street facade. Displays must be interior to the window. This provision is intended to provide for a use like that of the downtown SBSD. And just a note, based on the proposed elevation, these signs are limited to the 3 windows at the northwest end of the Fairmount Street facade. These are the actual conditions. Window art displays on the ground floor of a building are allowed subject to the following regulations. A window art display must be located on a window within a window on a facade facing Fairmount Street and may contain only a promotional message, generic graphics, including 3-dimensional artifacts or objects, cultural event or activity, merchandise only if sold by a tenant occupying space within the premise, a message identifying the sponsor of the display, or a message referring to the sale or lease of the premise. And no sign permit or certificate of appropriateness is required to erect or remove a window display or a window art display. These are some of the window art displays from downtown that I could find. You can see on the left is 1505 Elm, and they just got some art in there. And then on the right is from Neiman Marcus, which are some of their merchandise. These are some of the site conditions. This is the development plan from PD 193, PD Subdistrict 160, just to give you an idea of how this building is going to be constructed and laid out along the streets. This PD 9 over here is going to be one of the areas that doesn't face a right-of-way. I had some elaboration in the report as far as what is in PD 9 and how that functions. The Fairmount Street here is where most of the restrictions take place for those window art displays and blade and projecting signs. This is the landscape plan. Here are the site photos. The first of these will be internal to the site. So this is southwest on McKinney and facing southeast into the site on Fairmount. It's kind of on the back side. And then northwest on Maple and northwest on Leonard, which is kind of the McKinney Avenue side of the development. As you can see, construction for the high-rise has not begun yet. This is facing northwest on McKinney and then northeast on Maple. And northeast again on Maple towards the back side of the site. And then southeast on Maple, and this is kind of from, I believe that street is Mahone, where the Celine is located. This is facing west on McKinney again and northwest on Leonard. And from the very back side, this is southeast on Maple and southeast on Fairmount. These are some facing out, which would be the surrounding area. Northeast on McKinney towards the Gables, and then southwest on McKinney, just further down McKinney Avenue. This would be southeast down Fairmount, and then southeast down Leonard. And southwest on Fairmount and northwest on Maple towards the Celine. Excuse me. Here are some of the signs around the subject site. On the left there is kind of one of the quintessential McKinney Avenue signs. They've got a painted applied sign and then a projecting sign made of neon there. The Care Now being reverse channel letters that are halo lit. Hotel Zaza, which is some non-illuminated channel letters. There's the Dickey sign, which I believe is non-conforming. It has neon and a simulated reader board below, and then another painted applied sign on a fence and a metal face cabinet in the background there for the MAA Worthington. Due to the overall change of use on the property, the nature of the site development, the consistency with the purpose and intent for the special sign provision sign districts, and the continued use of committee review for sign CAs, staff is in support of the request. Staff recommendation is approval subject to the conditions. And we do have Chris Bauer from Focus EVG, the applicant, and Jeff DeBruin from Thermal Crow. You did not picture Maddie Pluck with and Maddie Pluck with from Crow. Here as representatives.
Okay, do you guys want to give us some sort of overview, your perspective, and then we'll let people ask questions?
Sure. Chris Bauer, Managing Principal of Focus EGB at 1909 Woodall Rogers Freeway here in Dallas, Texas. We have been working with GCC and especially with Jason to develop the language here. Our issues were that we were straddling two separate SPSDs, both of which were not written necessarily for high-rise developments at the time that they were written, because I wrote them. So the issues became when we have modern and contemporary buildings like these, is a whole different type of situation than even the Crescent was at the time that Uptown was, due to those types of facades and the direction and intent of the owners of those buildings at the time. We had discussed a number of solutions to bring this building into its own or into a singular SVSD rather than straddling two. And so our eventual solution was to look at bringing it solely into McKinney Avenue and then creating the sub-district for it, which addresses the high-rise situation a little better than what McKinney Avenue currently states. So that was really the basis for the request. And then working with Jason on a number of these different topics to develop the situations that we can design to or signage on them. I do want to make one clarification, correct me if I'm wrong. Jason was mentioning between the 36 feet and the 14th floor, the limitation to 2 signs in that area, in that facade area, due to the 14th floor residential buildings nearby. And then the statement about what, if I heard correctly, unlimited signs above that 14, it's not really unlimited. There are restrictions that we've kept in there of the percentage of the facade. So it's not that we can plaster signs everywhere above the 14th floor. It's that within the context of the I believe it's 5% of the upper facade area, we can do signage for the whole facade.
Does that need then to be modified in the language that's there in your Jason?
No, under the, like, I didn't point out all the little places where we added maple. But basically, these regulations are consistent with the spine regulations and most of the rest of the district with regard to those exceptions that we pointed out in this. So for signs in the lower facade, they're allowed 15% of the lower facade area. For upper facades, it's 10% of the entire upper facade. In this case, there's no limit as to number of signs, but there is the square footage limitation. So the only limit as to number is between the top of the lower facade and the 14th floor to account for those multifamily buildings.
Thanks for the clarification. I do have a dumb question. Has all of this been approved through planning commission and city council construction of the building?
Yeah, the zoning's in place.
That's what I just,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I'm not.
Zoning's fully in place and we're kind of on the 1 yard line as far as permitting and entitlement of the construction plans.
Because I just wanted to be sure that if we're making these efforts to create a sub-district, that the building's already been approved, and not just whistling in the wind.
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, Jason.
Murphy, what do you got?
Yes.
So this is devised to be a multi-tenant building, correct?
Right.
Yes, it's office with retail and restaurant on the bottom floor.
Okay. So each of those 2 signs is dedicated per CO or in total?
The detached signs or the attached signs?
Well, actually both. Now you mention it.
So more than likely, the detached signs would be for the entire building or for any tenant.
Gotcha.
And then the attached signs, like each sign is still limited to 8 words, but each tenant would be entitled to its own sign. Like we don't
Gotcha.
regulate the content in that, it's just the size.
Understand. But that would be an allowance of 2 per, basically 2 per CO.
The,
2 signs per
Okay.
CO.
there's not a limit on the number of signs per CO.
I thought
Like
you
it's a
said there
word
was a limit
limitation.
of 2 signs below the 14th floor.
That's 2 signs period on the building. For the ones below, for 14th,
Mhm.
the 14th floor to the top of the lower facade, it's 2 signs per facade, that's it. Like not per CO, it's per facade. So
Okay.
only 2 signs could be located there, and that's just basically to limit the exposure to somebody in a multifamily, one of those multifamily buildings
Across the
looking
street,
directly
whatever.
out their window into a sign.
Yeah.
Was the idea behind that.
I got you. Okay. Wasn't clear
But
on
yes,
that.
that would be the only limitation, other than
So-
detached signs, they get 3.
So I dropped my phone right in the beginning. I apologize. I'm having to do this by phone. This is strictly for the within the property line of this particular building, though, the SBSD. It does not
That
reach
is correct.
beyond that. Okay.
I believe there's 4 platted lots in there currently, but I'm pretty sure they have if they haven't already, will be platted as one lot.
Gotcha.
That's interesting.
So we're basically looking at a sub-district for just this building.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay.
Jason, you said at the end you had the staff recommended approval with conditions. What are the conditions?
Those listed, the code that goes along with it, just subject to what all of that code says. So we recommend approval of the subdistrict with the provisions provided by the code as conditions.
In other words, the conditions that you stepped us through just.
Correct. So we can't just approve a sub-district without some sort of regulations or provisions behind it. And the conditions are the provisions.
So like you said, you took the spine and modified it to fit the project desires, right?
Correct.
Okay. There's nothing out of shape here.
Other questions, concerns, discussion?
I have a couple of questions. Jason, so from this point forward, with our approval, where does this trail to next?
This will go to CPC and they'll make a recommendation to council. And ultimately council will approve or deny the request. And after that, it either goes into ordinance if approved. And if not, then it's worked out accordingly.
Whatever the, okay. I know why Todd recused himself. Yeah.
Any other questions or concerns? Do we have a motion then?
I would motion for approval.
Motion for approval by Murphy. David, do you have a second or not? Okay, I saw a head shake. Would you verbalize that, please?
And the need, because there's obsolete things like the LED, some other things related to that. But other parts of this seem to be self-serving. And again, probably going to get more high rises in this area. Are we going to be doing a sub-district with every high rise?
Okay. I can't second this one because I have some concerns. So
I suggest that the motion be approval of staff recommendation, subject to conditions. Or approval subject to
yeah, but
conditions.
if we don't have a second, then we can't.
Oh, I'm sorry.
See, we still don't have a second. David did not second. I can't because I have concerns. So do we then, does it fail because of lack of a second?
Yes, and another motion can be made.
Okay, so what is the process from here? Because you know me, I ethically, I have a concern about creating a special sub-district for a building. Because then that leads to a can of worms in the future where every time we have a different type of building or a different architectural technique or whatever, that leads to, okay, now we have another sub-district created to accommodate that request. So that's my concern. I can't second it for those reasons. So what happens then in the process if it fails for want of a second?
Then another motion would need to be made. So
And what would that be?
It needs to either be approved, subject to whatever amendments or conditions, denied, or held under advisement.
Denied is with or without prejudice.
Then Murphy, you're not getting a second for your motion. So do we have a motion to hold this under advisement and take some additional time to review?
I would do that for consideration. And from my stance, a lot of it's because I have pulled permits in this area and all around here, and the restrictions are pretty heavy in the manner, and the technology has certainly surpassed what code allows as it is today. And those are the reasons why I tend to agree with where this is going. I do have concerns that, which is why I asked the question about the SPSD being strictly for this property, and did it expand beyond. That it does create a can of worms. It does create this scenario happening down the road. But I don't think there's any denial that things are changing and things have changed, and that code, based on when it was written and what it was written for, has certainly altered. And this is a good platform to bring those things forward.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, was the motion, to be clear and just concise, are we saying then, Murphy, that your motion as amended would be a motion to hold it under advisement and give us all a little more time to review, or what? Is that what you're?
I do believe it should be discussed further, correct?
Okay, so the motion then, under advisement, and David, that is the motion that you're seconding, correct?
Correct.
Until
Okay.
we take forward.
Jason, you done?
December meeting,
I don't, when it is.
the December 13th.
Okay, to hold it under advisement till December 13th. Okay. So Murphy, we're playing with your motion. We're saying hold it under advisement till December 13th. Is that acceptable?
Yes,
As
ma'am.
I
it is.
stated?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
David, your second would be to hold it till the December 13th meeting?
True.
Okay, we're getting to none. Okay, let's do a vote. Your vote to hold it under advisement till the 13th of December. What's your opinion?
Murphy votes aye.
Murphy
David
votes
votes
aye,
aye.
David votes aye, raised his hand and verbalized, and the chair votes aye. Okay. So, sorry, guys, it's just, this is a lot to digest, and we didn't get, I guess we got the agenda, what, Friday night,
That would have been Thursday.
Thursday night, yeah. Okay, so I think that's fair. You want to let Todd know he can rejoin us now?
Yeah. So for the December 13th meeting, will there be interim meetings where we can discuss and clarify what your concerns are? Or
How would we set it? We have to set it up as WebEx or Zoom as a virtual meeting.
Well, it would be, the next public hearing aspect of it will be on the 13th. Prior to that time, the applicant would speak with Jason can speak with committee. And
Walking.
direct, right, no quorum, but direct communication with the chair.
We'll follow all the appropriate channels, but we stand ready. We're happy to answer any
Yeah.
questions. Yeah, I think it was really well summarized. Given that we're kind of bridging two ordinances, and the whole nature of the area has really grown to the premier live, work, play, higher density type of space. We were trying to be respectful of the two sub-districts and yet have it be relevant and marketable to the size and magnitude of our project. And so our intents are pure, and we're happy to answer and clarify any questions as far as specific items that we identified within our PD, our proposed PD.
Yeah, and then I have a couple of questions for you and Jason after the meeting, just paperwork cleanup for me and my clearing up my head. Okay, well, I appreciate y'all coming down, and it is a complex issue. And I know Thank you, Murphy, for that giggle, because I was sitting there, I am not the sign professional. I am sitting there trying to digest all of this and looking at ramifications, because one concern I have is, and I don't know how we do this in the city of Dallas, if you have more modern technologies, how do we adjust our sign ordinances so that we don't have to create a special sub-district for every single building that has this type of construction? I mean, that just seems like a big mess to me. And if we can come up with something that says for houses with this, and I don't know if that's even possible, that's why I want to talk to you and Donna offline to say,
Yeah.
what can we do? Because this is new technology and we don't want to be backward, but at the same time, making people come in every time there's a new building that uses this type of construction, it just seems like a complexity that exacerbates the lives of the people on staff, your lives, everybody's lives. It just throws so much confusion forward.
I would argue that the Oakland committee is facing, and with PD 193, they're facing similar issues just every time a building wants to get heightened density variances just to comply with what Uptown has turned into. It's, every time you have to go get your heightened density variances, and it's sort of silly, but you have to do it.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't have a good answer. But I'm looking for economies of scale, I guess is what the term I'm looking for. And I don't see it, and I really need a little bit more time to digest, and I need Jason to step me through some of this, because you guys know I'm just the dummy on the team.
Oh,
Okay.
you're no dummy. You're no dummy.
Oh, Murphy, give me credit where credit's due. Yeah. But thank you guys so much for coming down, and thank you for all the hard work that's obviously gone into this.
Thanks to Jason.
Jason is a miracle worker, because I remember the mess we encountered from Deep Ellum and some of the things that went on there, and Jason finally helped us clarify that and clean that mess up, so. But thanks all for all the hard work. This is obviously a tough call. I mean, it's bridging new technology, and our ordinances just don't seem to be, I'm not gonna say anything else. I think everybody understands. I don't want to be tacky, but thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can I get you?
Oh, yeah, you didn't get a chance to sign it. We can. Okay.
All right.
I'm not barking at people today. I'm sorry.
The next item would be the minutes and then the calendar after that.
Yeah, did everybody read through the minutes? Did anybody find any corrections or changes on the
No, ma'am.
minutes? I'm just. Okay, then the minutes stand approved as stated. And then we have the calendar that we need to look at. Did everybody get a chance to look over the calendar?
I'm pulling it
Yep.
up now. so
Okay.
it's-
Because we don't have a whole lot of strategy, because our calendar is pretty much driven by the CPC calendar, because we kind of have to accommodate that. But did anybody see any major problems or changes on the calendar? Yeah, thanks, Jason, for pulling up that.
It looks fine.
You might need
Looks good to me.
Okay.
I won't do dental appointments on the second Tuesday of the month. How about that?
Murphy.
Sorry about that, guys. I checked in at 8 thinking it'd be over and behind me by now.
Okay. Okay, no other changes? Then do we have a motion to approve the calendar as stated?
This is Todd. I'll motion to approve the calendar.
Okay,
David, I'll
motion.
second.
David second, well, we have 2 seconds, but it doesn't matter. I heard David
Yeah.
first. Okay. Okay, we'll go our roll call vote. David, your vote on the calendar?
Approved.
Okay, Todd,
Approved.
Murphy,
Approved.
and I approve. Okay, so that's approved as stated. Thanks, guys. And
Thank you.
well, it took us a little bit longer than usual, but thank you for your patience. And this was not a simple task on the sub-district thing. So thank you for all that, and take some time, review it. And if you have other questions, and I may be begging Jason to death trying to figure out what all this really means, because some of it is way above my head.
Well, that brings up a question I have. So how does this get discussed between now and December 13th?
Sorry, what did you ask?
Well, we can't have a formal meeting
We're
because
actually
that would be
still-
a quorum. That would be in violation of a public
Right.
hearing type thing. But no, they can talk to Jason, Jason can talk to us. They can actually talk
They
to
can speak to
anyone, to me, but
Yes.
can they talk to the other members?
Yes.
That would not constitute a locked-in forum then. Okay. So they could contact you and give you clarification, or you could contact them.
Feel free to call Jason.
Yeah, we can call Jason and get contact information from him if you have specific questions. And, I don't know that the gentleman from Trammell Code can answer a lot of the questions because he's just responsible for the building. But
They-
Chris would be the primary person to
Right.
question.
She is the app, and then Chris and Todd work together.
Yeah, okay.
But there
So
is
we
no.
can actually talk to Todd. We can talk to Todd. Hey, Todd, we can actually talk to you for a change.
Okay. Yeah, let me know. I'm
But
more
there
than-
is no,
more than
there is
happy.
no conferring between one another.
Right.
Correct.
Only in public, public.
Only in the public hearing.
Yes.
Okay. Just
So
wanted to
yeah,
be sure.
individually, but all responses have to be one-on-one.
Okay, or channeled through you.
Yes.
Nobody wants to talk to Murphy anyway.
Oh,
You've been talking.
slam, you guys. You're so polite.
David's been talking
Okay.
to my wife again.
Do we have any other questions or concerns about what the process is now? Or are we ready for adjournment so everybody can go have a nice lunch?
There you go.
Any further business? Okay, if there's no further business, then we are adjourned at 11:26 a.m. Thanks, everybody.
Thanksgiving.
Appreciate it.
Happy
Y'all have a
Thanksgiving.
great day.
Happy Thanksgiving.